Okay, welcome to the December 8th Hartland Selectboard meeting. This is a specially called meeting to focus on the town budget. One of our colleagues is zooming in, so I believe we are 5 tonight.
Currently 4. I will let you know when Mr. Kennedy joins us.
Okay, great. First item of business is we have minutes from the December 1st meeting, both regular minutes as well as executive session. I would entertain a motion to accept those.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Jim. A second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Trace. Any discussion?
Just one. I have one quick comment. Cheyenne, I think given the fact that there were 2 Johns in the audience, you might want to specify. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And under town manager update, I would like to clarify the disparity in the last sentence. I believe it's the disparity of benefits between the town, town employees and library employees. Okay. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion passes. There are no warrants or accounts payable tonight, just given the off week. So let's, I do have 2 adjustments to the agenda that I'd like to do tonight. One, I'd like to add under new business, a second item to discuss an employee complaint that has come to our attention. Employees complaint. And second, I'd like to call an executive session so that we can have further discussion and talk about next steps in that. I need a motion for that.
I'll make a motion that we adjust the agenda as stated.
Okay. Thank you. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Clyde. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, going on. Are there any public comments tonight? Is there anything online? Nope. Okay. Then our first item of business is the fiscal year 27 budget. We have a new budget in our packets. We decided to reach out to the director of the library, the head of the highway crew, and to the head of the rec center to ask for them to examine their budgets, and we had suggested agenda items. I must say that given the week with the public press on the school budget, I'm going to ask us to look as closely as we can with cutting. Where were we? 5.9% before?
Yep, we were at 5.9, and we were shooting for 5.
Shooting for 5, and so I just want to keep that in mind as we go through it. John, you want to
Sure.
tell us what we have?
So before we get started, so right now we're just under a hair under 5.1% proposed increase. So we didn't quite get to 5, but pretty close. And again, recognizing that 3.28% of that is inflation. So it's 1.75, 1.8% increase. And with the addition of a person in the highway department, that's pretty darn good, in my opinion. So we'll come back to the second page that was in your packet, but I will walk you through where the reductions were made from the town side. Tracy and Tina can talk through the library stuff in just a few minutes. So we made some minor adjustments on the administration side of the budget, reducing things like computer purchases, conferences, taking $500 here and there through those. John was able to find some savings in the rec center budget by reducing the after-school payroll. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, I was going to say where you're looking, you're thumbing through
Yep,
pages.
sure. So Tom's now online. So on page 6 of 11, if you go to general fund expenses on page 6 of 11, there's there's 3 items, 3 lines on that. So first, under the very top line, which is the North Hartland School, we reduced the repairs and maintenance budget by half because we are efforting to not do much up there. Mm-hmm. But recognizing that with an old building, we'll have to keep some money in the budget for repairs and maintenance there. Mm-hmm. There was a small change under the rec center program, the my.rec. There was a slight actually increase in that line. But again, the big savings from the rec came from the after school payroll. Given that how John runs the after school program, they're seeming to be able to run it with less staff. So based on last year's experience, there was some savings to be found there. So that got reduced from 36,000 down to just under 33,000. So a $3,000 savings there in the rec budget.
Okay.
If we skip ahead a few pages to page 8 of 11, under general fund expenses, under buildings and grounds, there was a few changes made, specifically under equipment and tools. We took some of that money out, so you can see a reduction from $1,580 down to $1,000. We have historically been paying, splitting the cost of fertilizer for the lamb, for Carlton Lamb, for the conserved area behind the park and ride lot. It has continued to go up every year. What started at a couple $100 a year in the budget was proposed to be, $1,300 or $1,400. So we took that out. So again, we are paying cost sharing that fertilizer. They hay the property for us or for themselves and utilize the hay there.
John, does he know that that's the case?
Not currently.
Okay.
We will certainly reach out to Mr. Lamb.
Do we have someone, if he decides not to hay that property?
We would have to find somebody. Yeah.
I'm going to charge you a lot if I have to go shop.
You can charge us less than $1,400 and you can have the contract.
Okay.
We did make a minor.
But if you had to find somebody, the goal is they have to keep the hay.
So as it now is like he hays it and uses the hay for himself,
right,
for their farm. So, and the fertilizer helps to make it good hay. So, we did make a minor change. So, in the other direction on the buildings and grounds health insurance line, we provide a small stipend to folks who do not take the health insurance in town. It has remained static for many, many years as health insurance costs have continued to go up. So I adjusted that after speaking with Martin up to $3,000 as in lieu of payment for not taking the health insurance to kind of keep in line with the rising cost of health insurance.
Okay.
So we'll skip. No offense to the library, we're going to skip the library and go to the highway department. So jumping to page 1 of 3 of highway expenses. So we're able to, they had anticipated switching uniforms to button-down collared shirts this year. That would have raised the uniform budget somewhat dramatically. So we're going to stick with t-shirts and sweatshirts for at least the next year. So we were able to reduce the uniform budget back down. The increase this year, it's still going to be an increase in the uniform budget because we have that added person in there. So there'll be an added cost there. We did, in speaking with BJ suggested we reduce the rentals budget by $500 down. So not a significant cost savings, but trying to find savings where we can. Reducing the culvert budget down to $14,000. It had been $21,000. We have a small stockpile of culverts from this past year. That's about 3 to 4 less culverts that we would purchase in the next year. But again, we have a stockpile from this year. Reducing the stone budget. So that's not road stone. It's kind of a mixture of the 1.5-inch stone that we use during mud season. It's the 7-inch stone that we use for lining ditches, things like that. There was a suggestion to reduce the tree removal budget by $2,000. So that's been done. Trees are increasingly expensive to remove. I'm not entirely supportive of reducing that budget line because we have a significant number of trees that need to come down. But in order to achieve the cost savings we were looking for here, we had to make cuts. And then the other two lines on the next page in the highway budget was under the guardrails and the line striping, just moving those line items down. We've historically not spent the entire guardrails budget annually, so I don't anticipate that being a problem. And the line striping budget was new this year, so we're just reducing it. We'll continue to pursue, V-Trans grants as it become available for things like that, but this was a new line in this year's budget anyway. So that's the administration, rec, and highway department budget reductions. Are there questions on those three?
The cold patch under the winter maintenance, and then there's cold patch under the summer maintenance. Just trying to see the numbers here. So they remain, those numbers remain static, it looks like. Okay.
Yep, we didn't adjust those.
Okay. And the hop mix is just up slightly, which is a good thing.
Right.
That's what made a difference for us.
Right.
Okay. Well, why don't we just go right to the library thing? Is it Tracy? Are you doing that? Okay.
So yeah, we basically cut a lot of our line items down, so we won't have that extra money in those accounts or those lines. So we left staffing as is, and we reduced the merit increases to 4,000 rather than 6,000. We got rid of the legal line. Yeah, we basically decreased almost every line, so we cut it significantly from what it was a couple of weeks ago. Okay. We're also, since we came in $12,365 last year, we're hoping to use that money towards this year's budget.
I'm not sure if I understand.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either.
The library came in under last year, last fiscal year. So that money is in our reserve account, sitting there.
But if you have a budget for a fixed amount and you get the amount, what would you use the other money for?
Towards the overages of this fiscal year's budget.
You're expecting overages?
No.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, my brain might not be tuned in. So if you have a budget of $1 million that you can spend, you spend $1 million, why would you need more money from somewhere else if you already have a budget?
First of all, 1 million sounds like a dream.
Well, or
Do not
call it 1,000. We'll call it 1,000.
Yeah. Well, the library was going to be over by about 10-11%. So this helps us.
But you cut it down to what's your target now? What percentage?
6.27.
6.2. Okay. So you're saying that you're not going to meet the 6.2, or you are going to meet the 6.2?
We meet the 6.2 with our reserve account.
So you're going to spend more than what's in your. So you're projecting a 6.2% increase, but you don't expect to meet that number. You expect to go over.
We expect to meet that number with the reserve account.
I think the question, maybe if I'm hearing it, is that this budget only works then this budget is not the full operational costs of the library for fiscal year 27. That budget only works with the addition of the reserve account, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
So then what's the real number?
The real percentage. So we're down 6.3 from the proposal I proposed like
Right,
a
okay.
couple of weeks
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. You
So
came
there's
down
a
to
6.3 difference.
Now I'm confused.
Yeah.
We came down 6.3 with the using the reserve or
Yeah,
without?
maybe we can use real numbers. What's the dollar amount on the budget you're proposing?
302, 646.90.
302. And what do you think you're gonna spend?
302, 646.90.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not understanding why you need to take, if you propose a number, and if that's what you think you're gonna spend, why would you need to take money from somewhere else?
I think it's applying that money to the expenses, no?
Yeah.
I understand.
But then you would propose a number, you would propose a budget that was that amount less than what you're proposing now.
We are trying to help
No, it's.
the number, like lessen the cost for taxpayers by using our reserve account from last year.
Right, but then you would propose a smaller budget amount. You would overspend your budget and use the reserve amount to make up the gap. Does that make sense? Like I proposed to spend $100, but I spent 110, so I can borrow 10 from Trace. Or I just propose I'm gonna spend 110.
Are you saying that she should have
Well, you're not gonna give me the
proposed
10.
the full amount and then said there's a reserve, can you deduct it from our?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're planning on
That's-
using a reserve, you want to propose a lower budget than what you're proposing. You're proposing the number that you're actually going to spend, which means you don't have to take any money out of the reserve.
She's essentially taking off the amount of money that they saved from last year in reserve from this year's budget.
But there's the concept that's come up, but then you've already built it into your budget, the expenses. I know I'm doing a really bad job at describing what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I guess I'm not really following you.
Oh, can I ask it a different way?
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is, what would the budget be if the reserve was not, what else would be cut in order to get to the 6.1? Is that what you're saying?
I think that's what he's saying.
Okay, yeah. So if the reserve wasn't there, then what's the budget?
But if you propose 302 and you spend 302, the
Right.
only reason you need the reserve money is if somehow you just went up to 321.
Yeah,
Am I correct?
right,
If you're saying you're not going to go up to 320, you don't need to take any reserve money.
right. And this is projecting not this July, but it's this June, but it's protecting a whole year out.
Yeah, I mean, if you actually had to use reserve money
Right.
this year, next year your budget would look a lot worse.
We understand
Yeah.
what things are gonna look like next year.
So by using the reserve account this year,
You
it's
only-
essentially buying, it's artificially lowering the proposed library budget increase. So next fiscal year 28's budget, a year from now, the proposed library budget without any significant changes would be a much larger increase because they're artificially lowering it right now.
That's the downstream problem.
Right,
But you only need to take reserve if you go over your proposed budget.
correct.
Right. Yeah, it's akin to what Montpelier did last year to defray the property tax education credit.
Right.
And this year, it's not there.
Right.
So we're paying the price. And I assume you gave it that thought that
Yeah.
this is a
Well, the
kind of a shadow
library
game a little bit.
has not had money in the reserve account for quite some time, so this is the first time in a while. And so, yeah, we decided,
But to be clear, the library has not had money in the reserve account because the library has, for the past few years, been over budget and the town general fund has been covering that deficit. So you had a surplus this year, which created the reserve account, or put the money in the reserve account, right?
I don't know enough about budgeting to understand one thing. Is that when you have a surplus, does that go back to the general fund, or is it allowed to be specifically targeted towards the group that had the reserve?
Generally speaking, the first half of your statement, in 2001, the voters of the town of Hartland created a library reserve account with the intent that the trustees could spend it on anything they so choose.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a question.
Oh, yeah, Tom, go ahead.
But legally, the voters are voting on the actual budget. So I would think the actual number needs to be in the budget. And then I don't know how you deal with the reserve account, but it would be similar, Phil, to like what you said. So for instance, hypothetically, their proposed budget is $300,000, but they're going to use, $50,000 of their own money. The town share for taxes would be $250,000. But I think the voters need to know the actual expenditures. Does that make sense to people?
Kind of.
So can I,
Right?
Yeah.
You stick to your budget. If you go over for some reason, you take money out of the reserve.
Right.
Right.
The goal is to not go over.
the goal is not.
Right. And I think, I don't know, with Becca Warren, who's with us last year, right, probably around the June, July timeframe, did a presentation and said it was really their policy, the mission, to stay within, the town recommended increase. Did that change?
So we were, correct me if I'm wrong, we were told to try to bring it down 5%.
Yeah, but I think what Becca told us is that the process was you always tried to stay within the number that the rest of the town was using.
Which is am I correct in it? Is that 5%?
So the library budget had as Tom had pointed out the previous meeting, two meetings ago, had a significantly higher proportional increase than the rec department.
Right.
So the rec was requested to reduce their budget by a lower rate than 5% because their budget didn't increase because yours was up originally, I think it was 9.94%. So let's call it 10%. So your budget, the library budget was up 10%. The rec budget was up 1.5%. So we asked the rec department to come down, between 0.5 and 1%, and the highway or the library to come down, in a similar proportion based on the proposed increase.
So we came down 6.3.
But you did. But I think the point is that you didn't come down 6.3 because you only came down 6.3 because you brought in the reserve account.
The reserve, and that's the part that's very confusing to me
Okay.
right now. In that part.
Yeah, we're mixing revenues with expenditures.
Right.
What I'm trying to figure out is what is the actual expenditure for the library in FY27?
Well, I think it would be the 302,655 plus 12,365. So
It's 314 then.
Right,
It's
it's
the actual expenditure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What was the number before last week?
I do not have last week's budget in front of me.
320.
It was 320.
578.
570.
What page are you on?
Okay, so you went
That's
from
page
320 to 302, but you're counting on reserve money to claw some of that back.
Some of it. Not all of it, but some of it.
Right. So they reduced approximately $5,000 from their actual budget, and then they're bringing in the reserve to bring the budget down to 302. If it was 320.
So we went from 320 to 315, or 14 to
Exactly.
But the voters have to actually have a hard number that they're going to approve.
Right.
think that's the point Tom's making here. Because how do we show the revenue in the budget?
Perhaps it could be a clause saying that the library is using the reserve account from 2024-25.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, usually if you propose a budget, town approves it. Right? You don't propose a budget and say, yeah, but we're also gonna borrow. We're gonna stick within your budget.
How much of the reserve account is being used?
100% of it.
So what
Greg
happens
says 100% of the reserve account.
in the last 6 months of this year, you go over budget?
What's that?
What happens in the current fiscal year? You have 6 more months left. What happens if you go over budget?
Well, since I've been director, we haven't gone over budget. In fact, we've been under budget.
Okay, so I thank you for your expertise in not going over the budget,
Yeah.
but historically,
That's
it's gone over the budget. That's not been true.
Well, I think one of the things that isn't being said is that my predecessor ended up getting family insurance at one point, which put the library way over because it wasn't budgeted for. So that was like a big one before she left. And, you know, this is how tight it is. Like, we're not even offering like family insurance. We're pretty much offering single people.
Well, we offer insurance as requested by employees of the town.
But
We don't limit their choices.
budgeted. It has to be budgeted.
It has to be budgeted, but I just want to be clear, we don't limit people's insurance choices. Like,
Please, yeah,
Right.
we can't go down that road at all.
Right.
We don't do that.
Whatever the case, it's not budgeted for, and if I wanted to put my partner on my insurance, I would have to then include that in the budget.
And
Yes.
it would over.
And it would go
Yes.
way over.
When we plan budgets, we plan
for actuals.
at the fullest amount possible, and then we're rewarded if we're not.
so I'll use
If
this,
the employee is a continuing employee, then we
Right.
have expectations.
which is why we have, so 2 things. We have the new highway position in here. We put in the maximum amount of that insurance possible.
Right.
That may be the number, we might see some savings. We request every December, all employees tell us what their insurance plans are going to be, so we can include as close to the actual numbers as we can. They have until the end of the month. So insurance numbers might get adjusted, incrementally, but, we kind of plan for the worst.
Okay,
With new
But-
employees.
but I guess we should have a conversation about that, because then our numbers would be even higher.
One thing we did talk about is using our fundraise appeal to offset some of these other numbers. But because I was brought in, it was Wednesday by the time I got the message, that's not reflected in here. So there are things, I think, when you say in 6 months, if you start feeling like we're going over budget, then there are definite areas that I think we're very comfortable in using the fundraise appeal money that we have in order to offset going over budget.
Right. Okay.
Tom.
Can I just do a clarification? So
Yeah.
we're going through open enrollment now,
Right.
right? And you're budgeting for what you think people are really gonna select for insurances.
I'm budgeting for what people have now, and
Right,
nobody's
unless,
told
but
me.
we'll know in a week, 2 weeks if they change.
Right.
Yeah.
They have to let the employees have to let Martin know by the end of the month.
Tom, did you have any
Well, I
additional
was
thoughts?
just concerned when I heard that they were going to limit the employees' involvement in health insurance due to their budget, and we don't do that.
That's not what we're saying.
That's not what we said.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to be clear, because that's not the purpose of this.
No, we're not limiting, we just haven't budgeted.
It's just not
for the full
budgeted.
Insurance.
So I think we need to table this until we get more information.
I don't know, but we have time.
We have time,
We have time.
the date that the budget must be approved by January 20th at the absolute latest.
Right.
That's again, worst case scenario.
When does it have to be final to get in a published town report.
January 20th.
January 20th.
So do you meet again next
Yeah.
week?
We do meet again next week.
Against our will.
That's a regularly
You're
scheduled
welcome to
meeting.
come.
I think it'll probably be.
And John, we may need to ask the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. I mean, granted, the library is different because they have a board of trustees, but I don't know how we handle the revenue portion of what they're thinking of doing. So, and I have to say, from an accounting point of view, I think to use up their entire surplus for this 1 year, I don't think that's a good, that's appropriate way to budget personally. I mean, you need some wiggle room. We're in an area where there's a lot of inflation. So that's just my own 2 cents.
Okay. Any other immediate questions?
I guess just the path forward. So are we approving any budgets tonight, or are we doing that next?
So we could approve, so you could do one of two things. We could approve the budget minus the library budget, or you could just wait and approve the budget as a whole.
I still feel we need time to see if there's anything other than the suggested areas from the library, the rec, and the highway that we can actually cut.
Okay.
Tracy, thank you, and Tina.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
So I know you're like going back and saying this amount, and you said bring it down that 5%, which if we can get it to that 6.27, is that?
Anything would be great.
But I'm saying if without using the reserve account,
Right.
if we can get it to that 6.3,
That's the number we.
is that the number that?
That would be, I don't want to speak for the board, but
Yeah.
that would be ideal, because you're not putting yourself in a bad position next year by using up your reserve account and have your budget go up by 15%.
Okay. So give us another week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It can't be a good time for you going back to the school as well.
Oh, no, I'm feeling very bruised everywhere.
Yeah, okay.
When's the school meeting?
I don't know when the school meeting is, I just know the talks that are happening amongst administration and staff right now.
Okay. We're interested, but we have no. Okay. Okay, so thank you again. We have more homework that's out there. We have to clarify that legal piece from the accounting and see what our auditors would sort of say about that. Are we ready to move on then for now? Okay. Okay, next item is the lease arrangement that we've been talking about for quite some time. We've had a copy in front of us of the latest one, and John, I saw
Yep.
where the differences are. Do you want to just
Sure.
help us through it?
So it's largely what you saw back in October, I believe. There was a small change made, and so this, before I jump in, with us we have Mackenzie and Lindsay from Wizard Early Childhood Education and Hartland Early Learning. There we go. So the primary change to the lease was in the rent section. So the bottom of the second page, the top of the third page, the second number 2 under section 4, the kind of rent adjustment language in there is new to this lease. It was not in there previously.
Right.
And Mackenzie has reviewed this with your board, correct? And there's no questions from, so I think at this point we're ready to take action. I don't know, Mackenzie, if you wanted to give the board an update in terms of process and where you are.
Sure.
Real quick.
Sure. We're close. We're in a good position. Both of our lawyers are working together to answer questions that were on the footnote, setting up where taxes are going, just doing our due diligence. Where we are right now is making sure that all of the things that we have to have in place for the lease, for the state of Vermont to get a license to operate are there. And part of those things are what is sitting before you is our lease. And then the last thing we have to do is just do a water test. That is something that Val has had to do, but because we are a new organization, we have to do a lead water test. So I'm going over tomorrow, doing a flush test, sending them off to Vermont Department of Health, and they will read it. And that is the last piece of that licensing puzzle. But the initial terms between the seller and the buyer are agreed upon. Also, we have had our step-in night, families. We've offered contracts to teachers. We have offered enrollment contracts to families. So we're moving along.
Ready to go?
Yeah.
So is January 1 still the anticipated?
So we're hoping, I just reached out to our licensor because just asking her if she could give us a provisional license if these water tests don't come back. So Val would like the purchase and sales agreed upon on the 31st of December. So, the holidays are coming up. Our lawyer, both teams are very busy. So we are still pushing forward to make that happen. There is a possibility that it might have to be pushed out 2 weeks, and then we'd start the lease 2 weeks later. But we're so close. We're so close.
Do you, during this transition period, will the daycare still be open?
Yes, that's our hope.
Okay.
Yes.
So the parents won't be faced with that breakage?
Yes, no.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Is any questions on the lease portion?
Do we approve it tonight?
Yeah,
Yes, please.
We need a motion.
So, does there need to be any amendment if they don't occupy on January 1st?
So I think what we would do is just prorate their rent payment for January 1st, for January.
I'll let the lawyer decide. You can put it, we can approve a footnote that says, first month due on occupancy.
Right, exactly. Whatever the motion is, we can go with that. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to take a stab?
I'm just gonna make a motion that we approve the lease between the town of Hartland and, on page 1. The Windsor Early Childhood Education Center.
Okay. And if you want to do,
Let's leave the town manager to figure it out.
okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Tom, any questions?
No.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. It's been a long time coming.
There's a copy coming around for them to sign. I will send it to you tomorrow for signature, and then you can send it back to me and we'll be all set.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
This is just the last page.
Just the last page.
Yep.
No, you just
Okay.
stick it together.
Otherwise, just one of my papers. Okay, while we sign, let's go on to the Hartland Town Plan. I think tonight, it's just really to say we still have to get to it. And John, can you give us an update on where not even sure what term to use, but.
Yep. The work that Two Rivers was doing, so Two Rivers was reviewing the town plan to see if there were any red flags as the planning commission was moving forward with the unified bylaw work. They anticipate that being done this week. So once we have that, we'll know if there are any needed changes to the town plan prior to the planning commission proceeding with their kickoff meeting for the unified bylaw, which is happening in early January. So at this point,
Okay.
there's no action needed on the town plan. I think there was a discussion at the last meeting about how much review and the select board wanted to be engaged in. I don't think that's still an unanswered question at this point.
And we can't really answer it until we see what the impact of the modifications or changes.
Right, so there's two things, right? There's the sheet of proposed changes, kind of errors and typos from the planning commission. I think we can make those changes, easily. There's the proposed changes that Two Rivers might come back with. We don't know what that will be. We'll see that this week. And then I think, I know Tom had some feedback. I don't know if others did, in terms of specific areas of the town plan. But I think once we have the things from Two Rivers and we can incorporate the changes from the planning commission, then we have a document to work from.
Yeah.
Just adding it to future agenda items.
Yep, it will stay there.
Okay. Tom, Jim, you guys both had some observations at the last meeting. Are you okay with what's unfolding or next steps here?
I'm okay.
Me as well.
Yeah, I am too. Thank you. I'll be anxious to see what does come back, and hopefully there are no material changes to it. Okay. Moving on to new business, we had a discussion last time about in a non-emergency, how do our town citizens contact the highway crew regarding the roads, whether it's a windstorm or whether it's an ice. And we asked John to investigate a phone mechanism, and I think you're going to give us an update on that.
Right, it was a relatively easy solution because the fire department happened to be here at the same meeting. So the fire department has an existing phone tree. We can simply add on a phone number. So right now you call this non-emergency line, press 1 for the fire chief, press 2 for a captain, press 3 for a lieutenant. We can simply say for non-emergency, road questions or concerns, press 4 for the town manager. It will ring directly to my cell phone and folks can leave a message there. And then I can triage those and pass them along as needed to the road foreman. To clarify, I do not, and we talked about this last meeting, anticipate putting the road foreman's cell phone number on that phone tree. So
I think we're
things
all
right. Yep. So it's going to be a nominal fee per month. I mean, I think we're talking less than $100 a year in total for this service.
Right.
So it solves the problem, creates a non-emergency contact.
But then, you need to advertise it in some way, like on a website or wherever.
Sure, we can do a little publication on it, or when the fire department sends out information, it can be included in there as well.
So you call the fire department?
There's a phone at the fire department, and it goes directly to this phone tree. It's an unmanned phone.
So I'm sorry, but
Yep.
if I had a non-emergency issue, I would call the fire department.
You would call
They would have
It's an auto phone tree.
right, and you would wait until it said if you want this service push.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And we'll do the housekeeping to make sure there's a backup should you not be available.
I think it just
Right.
fills a hole in it. It's not going to bother our road agents,
That's correct.
our road guys, so they're not going to get 5,000 phone calls from the locals.
They are not.
Good.
Yep. So it was a relatively easy solution.
Very good.
Okay, well, this will be good because it should eliminate some of the issues we had. And we always seem to have issues as people begin to remember how to drive in winter and so on and so forth. Okay, moving on then, thank you, John. We have an employee complaint. We have, in our packets, we have a letter that is coming from the town of Hartland employees, dated December the 4th. And tonight, we actually have an additional document. I don't see a date on it. That was on our desktops today. In the packet, we also, I asked to be included the town personnel policies as well as the library personnel policies. And they were quite a good deal of reading on that part. Eric, you want to come forward? You have some additional information you wanted to share.
Can I just, Tom, I'm not sure I sent this to you. I'm going to forward you the email right now with the attachment. Okay.
I got the personnel policies.
Right, but not the second piece that came in just today.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
That's fine.
You set? Okay.
Okay.
Eric, can you just please
You're gonna
identify
have to-
yourself, please?
You're gonna have to come up so the folks online can hear you.
Yeah.
How's this?
Yeah, you can sit there. That's fine.
Yeah.
All right, Eric Weeks, I'm an employee with the Highway Department, speaking on behalf of the employees that have signed the unfair labor practice that was filed today with the board. As you're aware, the employees have filed the unfair labor practice of discrimination by the town today. There's no ringleader for this filing, and all the employees, with the exception of 2, have signed this complaint under their own free will. One was in fear of retaliation, and the second was not available prior to turning in the complaint to the town manager. What we know to be factual is on Tuesday, December 2nd, the library did not open due to weather. The library staff was given 8 hours of administrative pay for not reporting to work. The other town employees reported to work or used earned time and did not receive the equal benefit of 8 hours of administrative compensation. This is not the first case of discrimination between one group of town employees and the other groups of town employees. In December 2024, the library staff received raises, while the remainder of the town employees did not receive raises. I believe the other document that you guys have addresses the financial part of that, so I won't get into that. The third case of discrimination from the town is in regards to certain groups of town employees, is that the library staff will now be receiving 2 paid days off for Christmas, which will be Christmas Day and the day after Christmas, while the remainder of the town employees receive only Christmas Day off paid. The library staff will be getting the second day off, which goes against the town's paid holiday policies. We also know to be factual is that the library staff are town employees, just like the employees of the Highway Department, Damon Hall, and the Rec Department. We know the town employees are to follow town policies and the employee handbook. All employees receive the same employee handbook and town policies. These policies are to make a level playing field for all town employees. We understand that the library is run by a board of library trustees, but the research that I have conducted, all library employees are town employees. Vermont law grants the library trustees full power to manage the public library, including the authority to establish library policy. However, this authority operates within the context of the town's broader governance, meaning the town financial and personnel policies, town level policies, especially those concerning town appropriation, tax funds, financial controls, and general personnel policies for the town employees, including library staff, take precedence and must be followed by the trustees. Library personnel are town employees and are subject to the municipal personnel policies and labor agreements adopted by the select board or the town manager. Trustee-specific powers. Trustees have the exclusive control over policies concerning the operation of the library, like collective development, and the management of trust funds or donations received specifically for the library. Financial oversight, establishing library budget, managing any property, trust funds and gifts. Personnel management, hiring, annual evaluation, supervising the library director, unless specified in a municipal charter. Long-range planning and promoting library use within the community. With all this said, we feel the select board has knowingly and willingly allowed the discrimination to occur and continue. As the unfair labor practice complaint states, we ask to be made whole by returning the leave time for any employee that used leave time for the day, and any employee that reported to work receive an equal 8 hours of pay. In regards to Christmas time off, we request that if the library staff is receiving 2 days off for Christmas, that all employees receive this benefit. If this is not inclusive for all employees, we will be forced to file another unfair labor practice of discrimination when this violation occurs. As I mentioned, there's no ringleader here, just a group of employees that are simply looking for equal treatment. If there is a desire for the town to meet with the employees for resolution, I'm sure that the town manager can schedule a date and time for us all to meet. This process does have a time dependency as outlined by the Vermont Labor Relations Board. We appreciate your time this evening, and we understand that the board's time is valuable.
Okay. Eric, thank you very much. Will you please leave that so we have a copy of that if you're comfortable with that?
Absolutely.
On that part. I don't take any of these complaints lightly. I think you highlighted that there's the library trustees have control over a number of aspects, I think we're going to have a very rich discussion to try to figure this out. I hadn't realized there would be the deadline piece, so thank you for bringing that to our attention. And
there's a deadline for the response from the board, and then we also as a group have another deadline to follow up if we would wish to continue forward with the labor board.
Okay.
And we can stretch that out, so it's not like, okay, day 4 we haven't heard, we're day 5 we're gonna file. So the group is looking to work with the Board of Selectmen, with the town manager. This isn't a cutthroat item. We just would like to see some resolution.
Okay, I hear you, and I appreciate the attitude that this has just come up. On December 4th was, well, we just saw that in our packets of December 4th. And again, I'm repeating myself, but I think I'll speak for the board. We take this seriously, and we will have an executive session, as we said, this evening to begin our discussions on that. Jim?
Just wanted to, so I did a quick and dirty read of both policies yesterday, and I think this is factually correct, but I appreciate any help to check it. Mm-hmm. I believe another possible discrepancy is the library does paid lunches and the town does not do paid lunches.
Say that.
The library does paid lunches and the town does not.
Okay. Well, again, I don't want to get into what's in it and what's not. There are differences, and that's
but I mean, as we go through this, we want to make sure we get all the factual.
Yes. Yeah. No. As I said, I tackled this morning, and all of a sudden I was drinking 3 cups of coffee trying to comprehend it all.
I think you're going to say coffee there.
From the sugar and the coffee, that part. Tom, are you still there? Is there any comments?
No comments at this time.
Okay. Any questions, Trace or Clyde? We'll dive into it some more. Okay. Eric, thank you again, we'll stay in touch.
And I just want to say I do appreciate the board making a statement of taking this seriously.
Okay.
That's appreciated.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Okay. How's that for losing my, here it is. Okay. Town manager update.
Well, seeing as how we just met a week ago, I don't have too much, and we'll meet again. So these will be nice and short for the next 2 meetings. I did get in contact with ITW today. The 3 corners light poles have come in. They're just waiting for the fixtures. As soon as the fixtures are in, they'll reach out to schedule the installation. So again, we anticipate that happening, within the coming weeks.
Any downside to doing it when it's like 2 degrees outside?
Only for their employees who are doing the installation.
But no like risk of cracking the sidewalk?
No, again, they said they would, because this was highlighted to them initially that it'll be December and it's cold. And they said they would use, ground blankets if they needed to, heat anything up. So Phil and I and Tracy and a few other folks met with the Upper Valley Land Trust regarding the potential trail development on the Pole property. So there was just a kind of a kickoff meeting, brainstorming. There'll be a subsequent meeting probably in the next week or so with Hartland Winter Trails, myself, and the Land Trust to look at, additional maps and potentially walking the property.
Should Rob from the Conservation Commission be invited?
Rob was involved in the initial meeting. Yeah,
All right.
And John from the Rec Center. So there was quite a crowd around the table initially.
Representative from Aging and Hartland as well as the board.
And then just today I had a preliminary discussion with a local architecture firm looking at the possibilities of doing a feasibility study for the rec center. So we have an old architecture study that was done in 2022 and 2023 highlighting some of the deficiencies in the building, but this would be a feasibility study to look at what could the potential building be, as opposed to kind of putting Band-Aids on the stairs or interior renovations. We've been kind of tackling roof leaks and things like that, for the past couple of years as one-off events, but, let's look at the building as a whole. So more information will be coming on in terms of what that feasibility study might cost and what the timeline is on that. So stay tuned for more information there. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Then future agenda items, certainly the town plan, the budget, and then I'm going to say secondary, the covered bridges, whenever we get more information, we need to act on that. The capital plan, the speed limits on the back roads, and last but not least, the Quechee Road, and the 6.1 million that's floating out there.
Highway policy. Yep. So the highway policy was on the agenda for tonight, but Tom and I weren't able to connect to capture some of his comments from the previous meeting. So I got them this morning. We'll incorporate those. It'll be on next Monday.
Or January.
Or next Monday, Jim. Next Monday.
Okay. Thank you. Good catch. I was looking for that actually because I thought something was here. Any correspondence?
No, of course, nothing that you didn't have in your packet.
Okay, we're ready to address that. Then let's go into executive session and see.
So I'm just referring back to the Vermont statutes, and I think we should go to executive session under 1 VSA 313A1B, which is labor relations agreements with employees.
Okay. I'll second the motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Race, there will be no action from this, so thank you. Let's take a few minute break while people